Harry, driven by his intense curiosity, entered the library at Hogwarts with a single purpose in mind. His goal: to find out more about the girl from his dreams. He cautiously made his way through the vast aisles of shelves, his steps silent as he maneuvered through the labyrinth of books. He scanned the area, searching for any glimpse of the girl's distinctive blonde hair. As he came across a table tucked away in a secluded corner, he couldn't help but pause and observe. There, engrossed in a thick book, sat the person who had been on his mind for a while now. Harry stood there, hidden behind a bookshelf, his gaze fixed on you. He watched intently as you immersed yourself in the book, unaware of his presence. He found himself murmuring softly, his voice of intrigue and fascination. "You," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "Who are you?"
Draco, ever confident and arrogant, sauntered into the library. With an air of entitlement, he approached your table and settled into the seat next to you without invitation. He leaned back, a smug expression on his face, and glanced at the book you were reading, his gaze lingering.
Unable to resist his curiosity, Harry cautiously stepped closer, trying to get a better listen to the conversation between you and Draco. He moved silently, taking cover behind the nearby bookshelf as he inched closer to where you and Draco sat, his ears straining to catch every word exchanged between you.
Draco leaned closer to you, his voice confident and patronizing as he spoke. "Okay, doll, it seems like herbology isn't quite your subject," he said, his tone laced with mockery. "Maybe you need a private tutor to help you understand it better." Draco leaned back, a hint of arrogance in his expression. With a smug smirk, he responded, "I'd love to help you more, but I'm busy with Quidditch practice and prefect duties," he said, feigning regret. "I don't have much free time to spare." Draco, maintaining his smug demeanor, patted your head lightly, a gesture that could be seen as condescendingly affectionate. "Good luck with your revision," he said, a smirk on his face. "I'll see if I can find you a tutor soon." With a final, dismissive pat, he stood up, leaving you to your work.
Hermione, being stealthy, snuck up behind Harry, silently approaching him from behind. "Harry," she whispered, causing him to jump in surprise. "What are you doing?"
Harry, recovering from the initial shock, turned to face Hermione, a mix of surprise and annoyance on his face. "Shh!" He hushed her, gesturing for her to keep quiet. "I'm trying to observe something."
Hermione, witnessing Harry's hesitance and nervousness, gently nudges him and says softly, "Just go up and talk to her. You know she won't bite. Look." As Harry hesitates, Hermione pats him reassuringly and walks off to sit next to you, leaving him to contemplate her suggestion. Hermione, sensing your slight nervousness, gently smiles and responds in a friendly tone. "Hello," she says softly, maintaining a gentle and welcoming expression. "Mind if I sit here?" Hermione, still seated next to you and noticing your focus on your studies, turns and glances at Harry, who is hesitating and watching from a distance. Seeing his indecision, Hermione makes a gesture for him to come over and take a seat.
Harry, his heart pounding with nervousness, walks over to your table and takes a seat across from you and Hermione. His eyes dart between the two of you, feeling a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. Harry's cheeks turn ever so slightly pink at the mention of his name. He nods slightly, acknowledging that he is indeed Harry Potter. "Yes, I am," he confirms with a hint of shyness in his voice. Harry's heart beats faster upon hearing your greeting. He manages to compose himself and offers a small smile in response. "Nice to meet you too," he replies, his voice soft and sincere.
Hermione, sensing the slight tension and understanding the situation, stands up with a knowing smile on her face. I just remembered I have something to do, she says casually, pretending to recall an errand. Excuse me for a moment. Hermione gives Harry one final glance, her eyes filled with encouragement before walking off, leaving Harry alone with you.
Harry, looking a bit bashful, speaks up, his voice tinged with a hint of humour. I once got strangled by Devil's Snare in first year, so it's a bit of a traumatic subject, really, he admits with a sheepish smile, trying to shrug off the embarrassing memory. Harry nodded, a small wince crossing his face as he remembered the incident. Yeah, it was pretty painful, he admits, cringing slightly. Those vines wrapped around my legs and pulled me into the air. I thought I was a goner. Harry couldn't help but crack a slight smile at your adorable pout. He chuckled softly. Yeah, it was scary, but luckily, Hermione came to my rescue and saved me. I don't know what I would have done without her. Harry grins at the mention of your overprotective brother. Sounds like you have a pretty devoted brother there, he remarks with a hint of amusement in his voice. Sometimes having someone looking out for you like that can be both comforting and annoying, huh? Harry's expression softens at your question, and a small smile appears on his face. He shakes his head slightly. No, I'm actually an only child, he replies, his voice carrying a hint of wistfulness. Sometimes, I wish I had a sibling to look out for me, like your brother does for you. It must be nice, having someone so caring and protective. Harry chuckled softly at your confession about your brother being a jerk sometimes. He nodded in understanding. Yeah, siblings can be like that, right? One minute they're looking out for you, and the next they're teasing and annoying you. But deep down, you know they care about you. As Harry gazes at you, his eyes lock onto yours, and an intense wave of déjà vu washes over him. A faint pulse of pain flickers across his forehead, as if a memory is just beyond his grasp. The sight of your face triggers fragments of his dreams, images flashing in his mind, their familiarity both intriguing and confusing. He tries to recall the details, but they fade like wisps of smoke, leaving only a lingering sense of nostalgia and longing. Harry blinks, snapping out of his momentary daze. He realizes he must have zoned out for a moment, his gaze fixed on your face. Embarrassed, he quickly regains his composure and smiles sheepishly. Sorry, I just, kind of spaced out there for a second, he explains, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly. Did you say something? Harry's cheeks turn a shade of pink as he musters up the courage to speak the words that have been on his mind. His voice is barely above a whisper, his eyes not leaving your face. It was you, again, he whispers, his words tinged with a mixture of disbelief and certainty. I don't know how else to put it, but I've been dreaming about you for weeks now. Harry nodded, his eyes fixed on yours with a mix of uncertainty and hope. Yes, you, he affirmed softly. I've been having dreams, and you're always in them. It's like I can't get you out of my head, even when I wake up. Harry nodded, his expression a mixture of curiosity and bewilderment. He leaned forward slightly, his eyes never leaving your face. Yeah, I know. It's strange, he agreed softly. But these dreams, they feel so real, like they're trying to tell me something. And every time, there you are. Harry took a deep breath, collecting his thoughts as he recalled the details of his dreams. As he spoke, his voice softened. Well, you train a lot. Practice dueling in the woods, sometimes archery, and sometimes we go riding together, on horseback. There's always this sense of freedom and connection. We never say much, but it feels like we don't have to. It's like we understand each other, without words. Harry watched your reaction closely, his heart pounding as he waited for your response. The silence hung heavily in the air, the only sound their breathing. He hoped you wouldn't think he was crazy for having these dreams. Harry nodded, his gaze unwavering. He realized how insane it must sound, but he couldn't deny the truth. Yes, he repeated softly. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been dreaming about you every night for weeks now. Harry's heart raced as he continued, his words spilling out in a rush of honesty. I thought you weren't real, he confessed. I thought maybe you were just a figment of my imagination. But then I saw you one day, and I realized it is you. It's you that I dream of. Harry's eyes widened in surprise as you confirmed his dreams, a wave of understanding washing over him. Wait, you do? He asked, his voice tinged with both excitement and disbelief. You practice dueling and archery, just like in my dreams? Harry's heart pounded as he considered your question, desperately trying to remember every detail. Your horse, he began, his voice filled with anticipation. It was a chestnut horse, right? Chestnut coat, dark mane and tail. Harry's heart skipped a beat at your reaction, his eyes widening with a mixture of surprise and realization. Wait, hold on. So, it is true, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. You really do. What I dream about. The training, the archery, the chestnut horse.
Draco sauntered over to the table, an air of arrogance surrounding him. He gave Harry a sneering look before addressing you. Bloody hell, sister, he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. When I told you to get a tutor, I didn't mean Potter. A bloody Gryffindor, of all people. What were you thinking?
Harry's eyes widened in surprise as he heard Draco refer to you as sister, the revelation catching him completely off guard. Sister, Harry repeated softly, stealing a glance in your direction. Harry's expression remained stunned for a moment, his mind attempting to process the information. His gaze shifted between you and Draco, attempting to find any resemblance or similarities between the two of you. Your brother, he murmured, his voice tinged with both disbelief and curiosity.
Draco couldn't help but laugh at Harry's apparent cluelessness, finding it amusing that he hadn't realized your relation before. Merlin's beard, Potter, Draco smirked, his tone filled with mockery. You mean to tell me you never realized she was my sister?
Harry felt a rush of embarrassment wash over him as Draco made his comment. He had indeed never realized the connection between the two of you before, feeling foolish for missing what seemed so obvious now. No, Harry muttered sheepishly, his cheeks turning pink. I had no idea.
Draco's smirk widened at Harry's admission, finding amusement in his embarrassment. Figures, he scoffed, shaking his head in mock disbelief. The great Harry Potter, missing the obvious.
Harry, feeling humiliated and embarrassed, couldn't bring himself to stay any longer. He stood up from his seat, avoiding eye contact with both you and Draco. I should probably go, he mumbled, his voice barely above a whisper. Harry paused, torn between his desire to leave and the pleading tone of your voice. He glanced at you briefly, but his emotions were still swirling. He was upset that you hadn't told him about Draco sooner. No, I should go, he repeated, his voice firm yet tinged with a hint of hurt. I need some time to process all this.
Draco couldn't contain his laughter as he watched Harry walk away, finding the situation entertaining. He shook his head in mock disappointment. Classic Potter, Draco taunted, his tone dripping with ridicule. What a coward. Did he really not know? I thought everyone knew. What were you two even talking about? Draco raised an eyebrow at your vague response, clearly not buying your nonchalant answer. Nothing, he repeated, his tone doubtful. Come on, sister. You were sitting here for at least half an hour. You must have been discussing something. You swiftly gathered your books, placing them neatly into your bag with practiced ease. Your hands moved with efficiency, indicating your determination to leave. Your body language was stiff and tense, hinting at the unease caused by the recent conversation. He knew you well enough to sense that something was amiss. Your usually composed demeanor was tinged with unease, and he noticed the tension in your body language. He raised an eyebrow, his gaze fixed on you as he leaned against the table, his arms crossed. You're in a rush to leave. What gives? Draco's eyes widen as you walk away, his normally composed demeanor faltering. He watches you as you leave, stunned by your abrupt departure. He was not used to you just walking away from him like that, especially when he had questions. What? Wait, where are you going? He calls out, taken aback by your hasty exit.